Welcome back. In this lecture, we'll cover alternatives to discounted cash flow techniques. And over here, we'll discuss about payback period and discounted payback period. Let's start with the payback period. Payback period in general indicates the number of years required by an investment to recover its cost or initial investment, or how long does it take to get your money back is simply your payback period. Let's look at the acceptance criteria of payback period. First of all, if the payback period is less than maximum acceptable payback period, you should accept the project. If the payback period is greater than the maximum acceptable payback period, you should reject the project. Now the question is, what is meant by maximum acceptable payback period? There is no such rule to determine maximum acceptable payback period. For one project, maximum acceptable payback period could be 2 years. For another project, maximum acceptable payback period would be 3 years. So, how determination of maximum acceptable payback period is completely determined or completely decided by the management. Now let's look at the calculation of payback period of project S and project L. We focus on project S over here. Calculation of project S. Project S needs an initial investment of $1,000. Then it will generate $500 in year 1, $400 in year 2, $300 in year 3, and $100 in year 4. Now the second row shows cumulative cash flows. So cumulative cash flow for year 0 is minus 1,000 because there is no cash inflow in year 0, which is the initial investment. There is only initial investment, which is negative. So cumulative cash flow for year 0 is minus 1,000. Now cumulative cash flow for year 1 is 500. In year 1, project S generates $500 cash flow, and the cumulative cash flow for year 0 is 1,000. So if we adjust minus 1,000 with plus 500, we get minus 500 cumulative cash flow for year 1. Similarly, cumulative cash flow for year 2 is minus 100. So that's plus 400 minus 500. So minus 100. Then cumulative cash flow for year 3 is 200. That is the cash flow of year 3, which is 300 minus 100. That's positive 200. Then cumulative cash flow for year 3 is 300. So that's 100 plus 200. So 200 plus 100, that's 300. Now let's look at the formula of payback period. Payback is equal to number of years prior to full recovery. Now let's look at the project S. Full recovery of project S is on year number 3. So prior to full recovery year is year number 2. So that's 2 plus, then number of years prior to full recovery for project S will be 2. Then we have to divide uncovered cost at the start of year divided by cash flow during the full recovery year. So uncovered cost the start of year 3 is 100. So 100 divided by cash flow during full recovery year, which is year 3, is 300. 100 divided by 300, 2.33 years. In the same way, we can calculate payback period for project L, and payback period for project L is 3.30 years. Now, assume that maximum acceptable payback for project S and project L is 3 years. So, if the maximum acceptable payback period is 3 years, project S should be accepted and project L should be rejected as it cross the maximum acceptable payback period. So in this case, whether these projects are independent or mutually exclusive, only project A's should be accepted. Now let's look at the strengths and weaknesses of payback. So strengths are: payback period provides an indication of project risks and liquidity. Secondly, payback period is really easy to calculate and understand. Now let's look at the weaknesses. First of all, payback period completely ignores the time value of money, which is the fundamental of finance. Secondly, payback period also ignores cash flows, which will be generated after the payback. Now, as the payback period ignores the time value of money, analysts, or that means the financial analysts, often use discounted payback period as an alternative of normal payback period. As per the discounted payback period, the length of time required for an investment's cash flow discounted at the investment cost of capital to cover its cost. So, discounted payback period uses discounted cash flows rather than the raw cash flows. Therefore, discounted payback period includes time value of money. So, one of the limitations of normal payback period is overcome by the discounted payback period. Now, let's look at the discounted payback period of project S and project L. So, the first row is the cash flow. The second row of project A is the discounted cash flow. Let's look at how do we calculate discounted cash flow. So one more thing, cost of capital for both projects is 10%. Now for year 0, cash flow is minus 100 as it is the present time. Its discounted cash flow or its present value will be minus 100. Then in year 1, project S will generate $500 cash flow. Now present value of this $500 with 10% discount rate is $455. Similarly, present value of $400 with 10% discount rate is $331. Then the discounted payback rate, discounted cash flow for year 3 is $225, and for the final year is $68. Now we need to calculate cumulative discounted cash flow, which is simply minus 1000 for year 1 for year 0. Then in year 1, project S will generate 455 discounted cash flow. So if we adjust plus 455 with minus 1000, we get minus $545 cumulative discounted cash flow in year 1. Then for year 2, discounted cash flow is 331, and if we adjust 331 with minus 545, we find cumulative cash flow for year 2 is 215. For year 3, similarly, cumulative cash flow is $11, and for year 4, cumulative cash flow is $79. Similarly, now let's calculate the discounted payback for project S. So project S cost is fully recovered after 2 years. So 2 plus uncovered cost is 215. Last uncovered cost is 215. So 215 divided by total discounted cash flow during full recovery period, which is 3, is 225. So 215 divided by 225. Then the discounted payback period of project S will be 2.95 years. So as the discounted payback period of project S is less than the maximum acceptable period, which is 3 years, project is accepted. However, project L will take 3.78 years to recover its initial investment. So project L is rejected. So in this case as well, whether the projects are independent or mutually exclusive, we can only accept project S, and we cannot accept project L because it crosses maximum acceptable payback, which is 3 years. That's all about this lecture. In our next lecture, we'll look at IRR, payback, and discounted payback in Excel.